Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Reagan and I'm going to be doing the book tag that Stephanie Bohrer put out. I was not tagged. This was just a choice. I thought it was kind of a fun little tag to do. I used to do tags a lot when I was younger and doing like booktube when it was like in its Tumblr era. I feel like, I don't know if that's the right way to explain it. And this seemed kind of fun, so I'm doing it. I'll put the questions in the description if you want to participate. I think you should. If you want to do it, you should do it. Also, yeah, my name is Reagan. I do mainly book content, and welcome to my channel. Happy you're here. Let's move on with the tag. We're just gonna get right into it. The first question: a book you tell people is your favorite. That for me is gonna be Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is one of my 5-star series. I need to reread it and make sure it still is, but I just love this universe. I just love it. It makes you feel like, when I read this for the first time, I felt like I was going to Disney for the first time. That's how I equate it. It's just so magical. It's so magical. Basically, it's about this girl named Scarlett, and all her life, she's wanted to go to this kind of game, circus kind of thing called Caraval, and she gets a ticket. Her and her sister go to Caraval, and they have this big adventure, and I don't even know how to explain it. It's just amazing. I love it. So you should definitely read. The companion series called Once Upon a Broken Heart is going around on TikTok and BookTube right now as really popular. So if you want to read that, you should definitely read Caraval. A lot of people don't like it as much, but I loved it. Next question. Question 2. A book that is your guilty pleasure. So I have more of a series for this one, and it is the Neon Gods series. A new book just came out. I haven't read it yet, but that consists of Neon Gods by Katie Robert, Electric Idol by Katie Robert, and lastly, Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert. This is a series that is about like Greek mythology retellings. So they're all set in like the modern day world, but it's Greek mythology. The first one is Persephone and Hades, which was my favorite. The second one was Eros and Psyche. And the third one was Achilles, Helen, and who's the third one? Patroclus. So these are my guilty pleasure reads. They're mostly just smut, if I'm being for real, but I like Greek mythology, and I don't know, there's something about like, it's kind of like a dark romance where like the Greek mythology just makes it something else rather than just like a romance book that has some smut in it. The Greek mythology takes it to another level. I don't even know how to explain it, but they're my guilty pleasure reads. You should definitely invest, and it's not confusing. Like the Greek mythology isn't confusing because it's not something, it's set in the modern day world. You don't really have to know the dynamics because it's kind of like explicitly told to you. So having a previous knowledge of Greek mythology is not needed to go into this. It's kind of just a fun time. I keep calling it a trilogy. I need to get the new book. Okay, continuing on. A book that everyone loved, but you didn't. Please don't hate me, guys. Please don't hate me. Please don't hate me. I have good taste, I swear. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I do not like childhood friends to lovers. I do not like second chance romance. Every book that I've read with those tropes hasn't been my favorite. Don't get me wrong, I didn't hate it, but I did not love it like everyone else. Like, this was a solid 3-star book for me. And it's everyone else's like favorite book ever, and it's just not mine. It's just not. Anyways, I don't even think I need to give a synopsis of this because of how popular it is, but I don't know. Those tropes are not it for me. I don't like Christina Lauren. I don't like their writing. All their books were just okay to me, and so I think this one is just okay as well. I don't like it. That. Question 4. A book that you read the fastest. This is kind of like 3 books, but the Loath to Love You bind up the 3 Stiminus novellas. We've got Under One Roof, Below Zero, and Stuck With You. And all of these I read super fast. Obviously, they're novellas. I read, I think, all 3 in one day, which is like a 300-page book, so it's not like crazy, but like I just sped through them. A lot of people don't love romance novellas, and didn't love these, but I did. I love Ali Hazelwood's writing. I love the STEM aspect of all of her books, and I love these. They were just quick, fun. Like, I just sped through them. They were the best novellas I've ever read, and I recommend it to you guys who just want, like, don't go in expecting this amazing, like, mind-blowing plot and, like, fully flesh out. It's a novella, right? You have to, like, kind of know what you're going into. For a novella, it was really good. Question 5. A book that deserves more hype. I want to preface this with saying I did not like her first book, but I loved the second one, and that is The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. A lot of people, The Spanish Love Deception was going around on Book Talk for a while there, and everyone was like loving it. I read it. I did not love it. I really did not like it at all. But then I read this one and I loved it. This was, I think, a 4.75. Honestly, it could be a 5 stars if I'm being for real, but it deserves more hype. Like, if you didn't like The Spanish Love Deception, try this one because I loved it. I literally saw no one talk about this. Like, no one. Everyone was talking about The Spanish Love Deception. No one talked about this. I think it should be more talked about. It follows the best friend of the main character of The Spanish Love Deception. So Lena is the main character of The Spanish Love Deception. This follows Rosie, and their meet cute is just adorable. Basically, they're both under the impression that they're borrowing Lena's apartment, and so they both get there at the same time, and they kind of have to share the apartment that they're borrowing based on their situation, like, together. So it's like forced proximity. I don't know. It was really good. Lucas was just such a great love interest. And it's set in New York, and they do a bunch of fun things in New York. I don't know. I just think it deserves more hype. Why is no one talking about it? Question 6. A book that is coming a movie or TV show. I don't have anything else to say. It already has become one, but Daisy Jones and the Six, everyone knows about this. I don't feel the need to talk about it more. I need to watch the TV show, but I didn't have another answer. So, a book that you have reread the most. A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I think I've reread this 4 or 5 times now, and that's a lot for me. I don't typically reread books, but this series is an exception. I think this one specifically I've reread the most, which is why I pulled it out of the whole series. But yeah, I think 4 or 5 times, which is a lot for me. This is excluding the Harry Potter series because that is just not even touchable at that point. But like this, I've reread a lot. I don't even need to explain this one either because the hype. You guys know. If you don't, pick it up. A book from a genre you don't typically read. My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. This is a literary fiction, and I never read literary fiction purely because I have to have some sort of romance in mind, and a lot of literary fiction doesn't. I don't know. Literary fiction just seems so mundane to me sometimes, even though it's not necessarily. Like, that's just my own preconceived thoughts about the genre, but it seems very mundane, and this book was mundane, but I enjoyed it. Not even mundane, that's the wrong word to describe it because it wasn't like regular. It was very irregular and weird and like bizarre, but it wasn't eventful, I guess is what I'm trying to say. This is about a girl who is severely mentally ill and decides that she wants to sleep for the next year to cure herself of mental illness. So she finds this dodgy psychiatrist, I think, and basically gets a bunch of sleeping pills and is on all those sleeping pills for a year. So she's like not even lucid for a year, and this is following her year on those sleeping pills, and it's kind of just bizarre. And I know so many names of sleeping drugs now that I didn't know before. But don't go into that book if you struggle with mental illness, because that might not be the best headspace for you to be in, but like it was good. Next question. A book that deserves all the hype it gets. So this is kind of a weird answer, but back in the olden book talk days, this book called The Hating Game by Sally Thorne was really hyped up, and I honestly agree with the hype. I've reread this twice and I enjoyed it both times. The movie adaptation I also enjoyed. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I enjoyed it. I just think it's just a classic rom-com, like classic rom-com, classic book talk book. I enjoyed it. It was good. It wasn't a 5-star read good, but not everything has to be for it to deserve the hype. Like, this is a solid rom-com, and a lot of people like it, and I think it deserves the hype that it gets. Even if it's not a 5-star for everybody, it's still quality rom-com material. You know what I'm saying? All right, next, a book that you usually recommend when asked to give a recommendation. Okay, so I usually recommend Educated by Tara Westover. This is a memoir following this girl named Tara Westover, who her father is basically a survivalist, and it's her experience with not being able to receive an education and how she fought for that and how she got herself educated and kind of separated from her father and his viewpoints and her family that was like very destructive to her, and it was really good. I was not expecting to like it. This is a book that my aunt gave me because she was cleaning out her bookshelf and she was like, "Do you want it?" And I was like, "Sure, whatever." And then I read it and I was like, "Wow, I really like this." I recommend this one because when people ask me for a recommendation, I don't know what kind of reader they are. So if I were to recommend them, say, this book, they might be slightly freaked out when they go into it and find out it's basically fairy smut. So I go with the safer option of a memoir that's really good, really entertaining. It's something that holds people's attention and isn't boring, so like it doesn't turn them off from reading, but it also isn't like extreme fantasy or extreme romance and smut that people like can turn people off from reading because it like freaks them out. It's really out there, you know? And it makes me seem smart, kind of, I feel like, to read memoirs. So that's the book that I normally recommend. I do actually, like, it is a recommendation I give, like, genuinely. It was a really good book, but it's kind of the recommendation I give because I don't know what someone's reading tastes are. Does that make sense? The next two questions have the same answers. A book that has your favorite characters and a book you wish you could live in. First book is the Harry Potter characters I will forever love. I know J.K. Rowling is problematic, and I know these books are problematic, but this is a comfort series, and I will love it, I think, till the day I die, and I feel a little guilty about it, but I'm too far in. I read this when I was in second grade, and I reread and rewatched it every year. There are 7 books. Like, this is a fat series, and I reread and rewatched those movies and books every year. I'm just too far in. I'm too far in. Like, I can't just not love it anymore. And I understand that there are problems and everything, but I can't unlove something that is so deeply ingrained into my, like, sense of self. You know what I'm saying? Harry Potter. The characters are just to die for. I love all of them, and I wish I could live in this universe. If I could live anywhere, it would be in Harry Potter. The amount of Wattpad books I have written and saved in my drafts. Do you guys remember the period on TikTok where the craze was like shifting? I tried to shift so hard into this universe. You have no idea how many hours I spent dedicating my time to trying to shift into I tried to live in this universe. That's how much I would like to live here. The second answer is Harry Potter. What? Percy Jackson. The characters in this book, again, I read this in second grade and I love it. I rewatch the movies. Yes, I know they're not great, but I rewatch the movies all the time and I reread these books. I've reread them, I think, like 2 or 3 times. It's something I can't let go of. It's my childhood. And then I wish I could live here. I wanted to be Poseidon's daughter so bad, you have no idea. I would like retake those, those like tests on BuzzFeed. I just like which god is your parent or whatever. I would retake it until I got Poseidon. I think I got Apollo one time and I was like upset, so I would retake it until I would get Poseidon. Next question, a book that made me cry. I've never cried reading a book except for Harry Potter, but those were like tears of joy, but I don't want to say that again. So I've never cried when reading a book. I intentionally avoid sad books because I don't like to read them, so I try not to cry in books, and I never have. I've like got some tears up in my eyes, but I've never shed a tear. A book you thought you would hate, but you ended up loving. I had this in my to read stack for literally ever. I tried to read it. I could not get through it at all. And then I got the audiobook for it. I rented it and I listened to it and it just took me by surprise. After I got through about like the first 50 to 100 pages, I was hooked. Like, this book was crazy and actually scary, and I think about it a lot. It is about basically this girl named Alex, and she goes to Yale. She's a freshman at Yale, and she gets kind of roped into this cult, a secret society at Yale. And it's funny because Leigh Bardugo actually went to Yale, and so there's kind of some truth to this, but also like it's fiction, but like the actual happenings at Yale could be potentially true. Not that she could divulge that in her book, but like, I don't know. When I found out she went to Yale after reading this, I was flabbergasted, like actually. But it's creepy, it's dark academia, it's messed up characters, it's supernatural, it's paranormal, it's wild. And I definitely recommend. Also, look up trigger warnings for it. Last question. A book you wish you could read for the first time. Again, ACOTAR. ACOTAR. And I specifically said this one because the feeling I got when reading this book for the first time again was crazy. This applies to the whole series. Like, I want to read it again for the first time. But this one was crazy. Like, I was hooked. And now, rereading it now, you know, I have a different reaction. Because we all know. Tamlin. Okay. Specifically this one, I was hooked. Like, this was the first book since like Harry Potter I think I actually like fell in love with. Yes, that is all my answers to the questions. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you maybe got a recommendation out of this. I hope this was actually recording, because if it wasn't, I'm gonna be pissed. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to do this tag, I will put the questions in the description and I tag you. If you're watching this and you have any inkling that you want to do this tag at all, I tag you. Thank you for watching, and go check out some of my other videos down below if you'd like. Stay tuned for content about my exchange trip and other bookish things, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.